Watch this, watch this. This is cool. This is cool, man. This ain't no glitching shit here. Stupid. You're getting mowed, Botch. She only had 15 bones. Getting hot in there, ain't it? Getting hot in there, ain't it? Yep, that's just right, man. Just seems like the mother Fletcher followed me down to my hideout. Alright, enough fun. I'm out of here, man.
Date rape by a man named John Taylor, and during the ordeal, Taylor mentioned Laura's murder.
The alleged victim said that her attacker had threatened her by saying he would do the same thing to her as he had to Laura, or words to that effect.
When questioned by police, Taylor denied the sexual assault and denied mentioning Laura Salmon's name. However, a background check revealed Taylor attended the same university Laura did.
He was a member of the same health club. He attended the same fraternity gatherings, functions as Laura.
And Taylor was near the university on the day of Laura's murder.
Taylor had somewhat of a history with being violent towards his girlfriends or female companions. That too added to his possibility as a suspect.
FBI analysts compared Taylor's hair to a foreign hair they found inside Laura's car.
We received a report back from the FBI that the hair recovered from her vehicle was consistent with John Taylor.
At the time, mitochondrial DNA testing of human hair was still years away, so it was impossible to know for certain if this was Taylor's hair.
But we could never get that one key piece of evidence that could place him with Laura Salmon on the day of the murder.
And the men's jeans found at the murder scene had a waist size of 30 inches and a 36-inch inseam, too big for Taylor. Ultimately, investigators concluded a single hair was not enough to charge him with murder.
Through all of that evidence pointed to him, there was still no smoking gun and nothing to actually tie them together.
And there were other suspects, too. In all, police investigated over 100 other suspects with no success.
I made a promise to her at her grave that I would see that justice was done. I didn't really know how I would carry out that promise, but that's the last thing I could do for her.
But Lorene Mackey's promise went unfulfilled, and 16 long years passed. In the meantime, Dan Goodwin began a career that would eventually lead to law enforcement.
After graduation, I became a newspaper reporter, first at the Shelbyville paper, and then I moved quickly to the Daily News Journal in Murfreesboro, where I became the police reporter in short order. I wrote a series on unsolved murders in 1987 that included Laura's case. But all along, I knew that I was more interested in police work.
Several years later, Dan left journalism and became a police officer. The first cold case he was assigned was Laura Salmon's murder.
I didn't become a law enforcement officer to work on this case, but it was always on my mind, so I was quite happy that I got to assist Bill Sharp on this case.
One of the first things Dan Goodwin and Bill Sharp did was to send all of the evidence to the forensic lab for testing.
Obviously, through the advancement in science, through DNA and testing, that maybe we could find the donor of the biological material and match that with our killer.
While DNA testing was underway, Sharp and Goodwin pursued a new lead, which supposedly came from a local high school student. Now, almost 16 years after Laura's murder.
In 2000, a student at Oakland High School was overheard talking about the Laura Salmon case, saying that his father had killed a girl and thrown her body in the quarry.
The student's father, David Patterson, had a police record for aggravated assault, but by the time the rumor circulated, Patterson was dead.
When he himself was shot to death, we decided, of course, that we had to investigate that lead.
They asked Patterson's children to voluntarily submit DNA samples for testing.
Testing on David Patterson's DNA, or that of his family, which produced a presumptive profile, showed no possibility of him being any of the male DNA profiles that was present at the scene of her murder.
Investigators also contacted John Taylor, who'd been an earlier suspect in Laura's murder. His DNA also did not match. And Dan Goodwin himself provided a DNA sample. He'd gone out with Laura just a few days before the murder. Goodwin maintained it was a casual date and said the two weren't intimate.
Since I took her out to the movies just 4 days before and knew her, they decided it would be advisable to test my DNA. And it was tested, and I was not present at the crime scene.
But at least investigators had the killer's DNA and were closer to finding him. A lot closer than they knew.
Today, the Purdue family changes the world with Purdue Fresh Cuts. Pre-cut pan-ready chicken that eliminates tedious prep and messy cleanup for families across the nation. Purdue Fresh Cuts. Your cutting board is useless now.
Award-winning interface. Award-winning design.